Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another developer Q&A video for Eve Echoes. Now before we jump into this one too quickly, I have some good news and I have two bits of bad news. The good news is I am back from Masuna. This means I should be able to record more frequently, I'll be online more often, that kind of thing. It brings me back into decent internet connection basically. The bad news is that I appear to have possibly contracted malaria. Great fun, my wife's off to get some tests today, which will make me nice and dizzy because having a drop of blood taken from my finger is apparently enough to trigger me into nearly collapsing every time. Isn't that fun? But hopefully things will be absolutely fine. The other bit of bad news is apparently in the 3 weeks that I've been away at Masuna, Eve Echoes has completely gone to the dogs. Like, genuinely worse than I'd anticipated, because all it takes now is for you to open up the Plex market and go, oh, oops. Now, a lot of people have asked me to comment on this and maybe do a video about it, but there's really nothing to say here, other than the idea of having Plex and ISK is all very well and good. It works for EVE Online fine. There is no need for EVE Echoes to have Aurum. That is purely a, we want this to be only for swiping approach. This leads to essentially there being limited uses for Plex compared to Aurum. Now, when you have things on the market that are available for Plex and they are in high demand, then you end up with a situation where the market simply runs out of Plex. And for everyone else who just wants to buy the things with Aurum, they're not putting Plex back on the market. This is why the Plex economy exists the way it does in EVE Online. It's almost like they hired literal economists to help them work their economy, right? Something that Echoes sorely could do with at this point. Now, people are saying, but okay, so why is the market empty? And the simple fact is for that Plex is pitched in such a way that it can only go up and down by a certain amount. Now, once all the Plex is gone, you need people to put it on the market, but people don't want to be putting an incredibly high demand product onto the market for the 4.7 million when they know that it could go for much higher. So people were waiting until the weekly maintenance came along to see how much that would go up by, and it went up by about 0.2 million, really not enough. So no one has bothered to put Plex back on the market. If you're worrying why you can't see buy orders or sell orders, they're there. It's just the fact is that the second someone puts Plex on the market, it is instantly being snapped up by the first buy orders. There are still thousands to go through, so do anticipate seeing your buy orders actually time out. It is a thing. Yeah. Isn't this fun? But there we go. The argument is that, hang on Benzie, you've been saying that everything should be purchasable with just Plex, right? And the issue is that they made the keys purchasable with Plex without an upper limit. Therefore, people could just buy all of the Plex and get all of this without going into Aurum. And yeah, that's all very well and good. But then making all the other things by Aurum means that there's this intermediary step between swiping your card and putting Plex on the market, which means that not all of it actually reaches the market. And therein lies the problem. Yes, I am glad that things are available to be purchased with Plex, not with Aurum, but we need to get rid of Aurum completely and just have you swipe directly to Plex. That would be the ideal situation. It works for so many other games. I don't see why. Oh, that's a lie. I know exactly why Echoes have done it this way. It's because you get more money that way. But there we go. Anyway, enough of all of that crap. Let's jump right into the weekly developer Q&A. Once again, I am going into this semi-blind. I've half glanced over them as I downloaded them, but you guys seem to enjoy my live reactions, so that's kind of what we're doing. Question number 1. Hello, have you considered adding the encounter refresh timer to the shortcut icon, like industry skills and planetary resource shortcuts? This could save a lot of players extra time or from setting their own timers. And okay, yeah, kudos and fair play to this question. Like, if you have planetary industry set up, and you have that set as one of your 4 shortcut icons, it does have a timer on it, which does decrease until the time is 0, and then you can just tap on it and refresh, or of course, you can refresh earlier. And the same, obviously, if you put your wallet on there, you see your ISK balance displayed on that button. Yeah, this would kind of make sense, having the shortcut icon have the refresh timer on it. It's only a 30-minute refresh timer, so, like, this does feel a little bit like hashtag first world problem. problems, you know? In that it's not really that hard just to look at the clock and go, oh, well, at the time of me recording this, it's 15:41, therefore it should have refreshed by 16:11. It's not difficult, right? You just literally look at any analog clock and flick the hand around so it's pointing the other way. It's not difficult, but hey, it's a quality of life change, and I am genuinely all for those, even if it is so pointless. You've got a clock in-game. Just look at the clock when you click. But hey, you know, for long timers it makes sense. For shorter timers, I do still agree with it, but at the same token, I'm like, oh my goodness, seriously? Anyway, Lance Dot, our dear friend and guy who does not understand industry, says, hey there, this is an excellent suggestion and it's definitely something we'd like to implement. We're always looking for new ways to improve the player experience. Your suggestion is very helpful. And yeah, as I said, it would be nice to have. There's much more important stuff that needs to be put into the game at this point in time, but you'd like to think that maybe, just maybe, these guys would be able to put this in fairly timeously, with, you know, timelessly without, timeously? Did I really just say timeously? You know, timelessly without, you know, just completely balking the game as they do so, but we also know that that's exactly what's going to happen. So, yeah, look forward to having the game broken by the addition of a timer. Question number 2 then. With the introduction of intelligent nanocores and AI features, my god, the devs are really selecting all of the questions based on this bullcrap, aren't they? Upgrading purple nanocores into gold comes with the restriction to repackage them and convert them into different ship nanocores. This also includes the exclusive special nanocores like CyberX, Neon Rain, and Sleeper. Now that there are new ships and constant rebalancing of stats, of ships, like twice a year if you're lucky. You and I have very different definitions of the word constant, but there we go. That gives those who worked hard to get those nanocores and those bought the nanocores with real money deep regret when they convert them into gold nanocores. Is there any plans to allow repackaging of these nanocores and allow them to change into a different ship nanocore? And look, again, I kind of get where you're coming from. Yeah, it does suck to spend so much time upgrading something or spending so much money on something just to basically throw it away on the roll of a dice. So just get rid of the freaking system that incentivizes that, right? That's what this is. The nanocore system is arguably the first major downstep in the entirety of Echoes. It was the first time that they broke their promise of payments and statistics being completely separate, but we kind of all just nodded along and accepted it, and now we are at where we're at, where the only way to make any interesting sync now is to take all those beloved nanocores you've spent a load of time and money on and just basically rip them screaming from you. That's by design. That is literally by design. NetEase are hoping that you will keep spending big money on all these things. Now that you've wasted your CyberX trying to get the gold core up and running, then next time they just dump CyberX into an event, you're going to slap it up again. You're going to grab it again. They've now got you to pay twice for the same bullshit nanocore. They are getting you to pay multiple times for the same crap, because that is what they are intending to do. How can we get more money out of the players? How can we get you swiping more and more? That's how you take away the things they love and then offer it to them again, even though the first time around they were led to believe that this was the only one they would ever need. Isn't that fun? Lance Dot says, thank you for your suggestion. We've heard from many pilots who share the concern with you. We're expanding the range of nanocores that can be exchanged. However, as this process involves many entries, we're taking gradual steps and trying to make sure that any changes we make are carefully considered. Just get rid of the entire crappy situation. Like, just rework it. Just rework it. You're never going to make this something that appeases both NetEase and the players. If you want to appease the players, then you get rid of nanocores in their current form and change them into something far more player-friendly. Instead of NetEase-friendly, swipe the card and there you go. It's never going to happen. Stop looking for changes that might benefit the player, especially where nanocores and implants are concerned. NetEase will not do it. Question number 3. We're grateful for the Advanced Cruisers release. Please don't speak for all of us. We're not all grateful. And my question is, when will NetEase release the new advanced ships for the frigates and destroyer class? Oh boy, the problems with that question. Let's not even go any further. Let's just pause right there. Why do we need new advanced ships? We don't need more Tech 10 bloody content in this game. We need to go back and rework all of the existing content. We need new content for new players to help them stick around. When we say we want small ship content, because there are some freaking morons on the official EVE Echoes Discord still who completely misunderstand this, let me just put it this way. I don't want frigates to be able to make the same amount of ISK per hour as a battleship. That would be stupid. I just want something that frigates, and only frigates, can do, so that when I'm flying through content with a frigate, I don't sit there thinking, if I only had skilled into battleships, this would be just going so much faster. I wish that PvE was actually fun and engaging like it is in EVE Online. It doesn't have to be this way, but they've left it so unfun and unengaging so that they can sell you a nanocore that automates it. That's what this comes down to, folks. That is literally the business plan at this point in time. Don't bother fixing the game, just sell ways to avoid it. So, do we want new advanced ships for frigates and destroyer class? If they're going to be like the cruiser ones that are ludicrously expensive and just really quite dull, like, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying flying the Chameleon, but there's so much more stuff that could have been in there. Yes, I want my Rifter Assault, I want my Tristan Assault, all these kind of things added to the game. I'd love to see the Tech 3 destroyers like the Jackdaw, the Hecate, the Spypal, and the Confessor. I would love to see the Tech 3 cruisers, the Tengu, the Loki, the Proteus, and the Legion. But right now, there's no content for them. There's nothing for them, and we don't need these to be added as new things that push the end game out further. The argument with this has always been that, oh, EVE Online, older players always have an advantage. Well, no, not really. My main on EVE Online has about 60 million skill points saved up, and those are spread across numerous different ship classes and numerous different weapons. This means, for me, if I'm to undock something like a Tristan, I have I've got basically level 5 and 4 in most of the skills across the board. Someone who's been playing the game for a month can also have 5 and 4 across the board in everything they need to fly their Tristan. That means that basically, after a month of playing the game, both of us are at the exact same point. Training to level 4 on anything in EVE Online isn't too bad. It's training to 5 that is the big one. And the 5 is always a massive train for a very minor advantage. So if you imagine that I've taken all of the skills for a Kestrel into level 5, and someone else has taken all of the skills for, say, a Tristan or a Punisher to level 4, then there's really not that much difference between us. I may have 60 million skill points, but only a very small percentage of those are actually relevant to the ship that we're flying, right? So if I undock a Tech 1 frigate and you undock a Tech 1 frigate, chances are we are actually pretty evenly matched, and player skill will be enough to swing the favour. Like, yes, if I'm fully skilled at level 5, I may have a 2% advantage. But fights don't work like that in EVE Online. If you come out of a fight and you lost, it's probably not because of the 2% advantage I have. It's probably because I piloted better. That kind of thing. So this... in EVE Online, that works. And there is content for Tech 1 frigates, for example. If you're going into faction warfare, there are sites that only Tech 1 frigates and Navy issue frigates can enter, which means that new players and veteran players are on the same footing at that point in time. In EVE Echoes, that is categorically not true. I can have trained up every single skill for frigates to Expert 5. Expert 5, and I will not be Tech 10 yet. That means the best thing I may be able to undock at that point is, for example, a Slasher Interceptor. And if my opponent's got a Slasher 2 Interceptor, they are at a significant advantage to whatever I can do. The fact that now the new skills that are, additional gunnery and additional missile and drone skills are also locked behind Tech 10 means that that end game has been pushed further. In order to compete, I now need to be Tech 10 like everyone else, and then start training those skills. So it's not even like on day 1 of Tech 10 I'm on equal footing to someone else at Tech 10. No, because they've been able to train all of the skills that literally take months for a new player to train into. So, what I'm getting at here in this really roundabout way is that what netties are doing is Tech 10 used to be the end. Tech 10 is no longer the end. Tech 10 is now the beginning of the end, and it's now being the actual end game, the point where everything is fair and balanced, is being pushed further and further and further and further away from new players, which means new players jump in and they just don't want to play, because what's the freaking point? Whereas EVE Online has this reputation for being unfriendly to its newer players, EVE Echoes has fully embraced that, and while EVE Online is trying to fix that, and is currently really doing well with it, like genuinely. I know I keep harping on about it, but we've just set up Catskull in EVE Online, and all the new players are having a great time. As a new player, you can have fun in EVE Online. As a new player in EVE Echoes, you have the entire game ramped against you, let alone the other players. The entire game is stacked against you. So this concept of adding advanced destroyers and frigates, no. Stop adding advanced stuff. Go back and actually fix the shit that we have. Give us small ship content. Fill in the gaps around the tech tree that we already have. Make new things for new players. That's what this game needs right now. And you can argue that all things like the new advanced cruisers and advanced battleships and the Science Sea, they're there so that NetEase can make money from the game, so they can continue to support it because we're dwindling with the player base. My argument is that the player base is dwindling because NetEase only give a flying fuck about the top 1%. They don't give a damn about anyone else below it. And if you're running a business, raising your prices is usually the last thing you want to do when you're trying to increase your profits. What you're arguably want to do is get more people through the door, so to speak. If you're a restaurant, and you have very few customers coming through, you've got a core group of customers that really enjoy your restaurant and the atmosphere and all that. They're happy to pay the prices. If you put the prices up, you run the risk of pushing those people away, and you're not going to suddenly attract new people. So you're actually going to make your current audience smaller. Yes, the money that audience is paying is larger, but you need to have put the prices up comparative to the drop in player base that you're going to see. So the alternative is to actually just advertise or, make things enticing for new customers. New people come into the business, they try it out for the first time, and they go, oh, this is pretty cool. And the prices haven't gone up, but suddenly you've got a load of new people who are spending money. And all the old people haven't been pushed away by this because their prices haven't gone up. You've just got a load of new people in. The concept of paid and unpaid in free-to-play games is that basically the unpaying players, people who don't pay for the game, provide the community for those who do. When you look at a game like PUBG or Fortnite, the vast majority of people never drop a single dollar on the game. The vast majority. Like, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and this kind of number is genuinely in like the 90%. It's a big amount of players who will never spend a single dollar on the game, but those provide the players for everyone else to play against, so that the people who are now, with a bit more money are buying the battle passes, they're buying the skins, they're buying things to lord it over, for want of a better term, those who aren't paying. And also remember, when I buy Plex and I put it on the market, I'm paying for two people's subscription. I may have bought my own subscription, but if I put 1,700 Plex on the market, then it's not that those other 10 people are suddenly buying their basic Omega for free. I've paid for it. NetEase still got the money, right? NetEase still got the money as if 10 people had bought 170 Plex. Just it all came from one person. Anyway, I've gone on major tangents here. Destroyers need to be reworked. Yes, faction destroyers could be interesting, although we're still waiting for them in EVE Online. Although that said, looks like EVE Echoes might be getting angel capitals long before EVE Online does. So who knows, we might get these things. Faction battle cruisers, yeah, who knows. Thank you for your inquiry, says Lancedart. While we don't have any plans to rework destroyers at this time, they've never had plans to rework destroyers, despite the fact that Melos and the team have numerous times stated destroyers are not doing what they want them to. They're not going to rework them. Easiest rework is to simply, and I do mean this simply, just give them an additional high slot or two. Like, don't change the stats, just give them additional high slots so that they can maybe a little bit of extra power grid to fit those, but give them additional high slots so that their DPS skyrockets, because that's what destroyers need to be. They are DPS platforms. They are fragile, they are slow, but they are glass cannons. Anyway. We appreciate your feedback and we hope you continue enjoying playing EVE Echoes. What we might do if you gave us freaking anything to do with frigates and destroyers. Now, advanced frigates and destroyers are of course the route they're going down because they know they can sell them out of boxes like they've done with the cruisers, like they've done with the battleships, and people will just lap that shit up. Swipe the card left, right and centre in order to get those ships. It's not the good way of doing it, it's the money-making way of doing it, but we are at the point where we're so desperate for content right now, we will just grab whatever they put on the market and tell us to grab. Now, anyway, let's move then on finally to question number 4. How do you calculate the insurance value for capital ships? For example, the Science Sea has market estimate value of 44 to 45 billion, but insurance value of 178 to 179 billion as a whole. Why is there such a large difference? I'm going to jump in before Lance does here. It's because the Science Sea's value on the insurance is based on its blueprint, whereas no motherfucker right now is building a Science Sea. Because why would you? Because the materials required to build a Science Sea are valued, and I was right on this, despite one jackass in particular getting hyper aggressive with me that no, you're massively wrong on what the Science Sea costs and its values. Really? Because that's what the game values it at. Anywhere between 150 and 200 billion was what I said, and there we are, 178, smack bang in the frickin' middle of that. So yeah, the game works on the material cost of the ship when it comes to IP, but that's not how people are getting them at the moment. People are just swiping their cards for them. They're buying them out of the freaking boxes. And because these things are as common as candy at this point in time, people are just selling them on the market for whatever anyone else is willing to pay. 34, 44, 50 billion, which is what we're seeing as the discrepancy there. The market value is based on the fact that people are just swiping their card, whereas the insurance is based on the actual cost of the blueprints. And I wouldn't be surprised at this point if, in a couple of weeks' time, once the event's over, they decide to nerf the blueprint into the ground. That the inflated blueprint cost was just there to get you to swipe, and then afterwards they nerf all the materials right the hell down, and it will be the materials, not the ISK. Come on, let's be fair. If they do this, then just to to get that estimate right down there as well, so that the insurance matches the sort of market value in inverted commas. I don't think it will be as low as 45. I imagine it'll peak somewhere around 70 billion, but those are purely thumbsuck values. Lance says, thank you for reaching out. The insurance value for the Science Sea is determined by the estimated prices of the manufacture materials, the blueprint reverse engineering materials, and manufacture fee. Since the material price is still not steady, we can currently use the initial price set by the system, but after regular maintenance and the trading volume of materials increases, which it won't, the insurance value for Science Sea will change. This calculation method applies to almost all tradable and manufacturable ships in the game. Yeah, the difference is that NetEase don't normally sell you the ship directly, but hey, there we go. They are doing that, and don't expect this to be the last of those new frigates and destroyers they're talking about. Those are going to be sold as well. I imagine when super carriers launch in June 1st, those are due to launch. Whatever the closest Wednesday to that is, because I think June the 1st is like the Chinese balance update for that. But hey, there we go. Titans will be launching in August. I will be astonished if there is not a way to just pay to get one rather than having to build it from scratch. I would like to hope that they keep the super capitals being built and only being built, but I do get that feeling that they are going to be swipeable, because this is NetEase, and that is what NetEase does. Anyway, folks, that is it for today. As you can hear, my voice is going. I have a stinking headache. I hope this isn't malaria, but I will let you all know. For those of you who follow me for my EVE Online content, the C2 Swiple video that I put up on Monday that was bugged and corrupted at the end has been re-uploaded and will be launching tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, folks, let me know what you think of all of this. What do you think Echoes needs right now? What do you think Echoes is going to get right now? Otherwise, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.